Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa alihi wasahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we meet again tonight. To which camera I should be looking at? That one, right? So to talk in the series of the mothers of believers. Today, how many mothers we talk about, brother? Many. Yeah, I think this is the wife number 10. Yeah, I think it's Safiyya bint Huyay. And again, this is probably one of very interesting stories about this mother. Then inshallah we'll talk about it, and hopefully we can extract some of the benefits for us, inshallah. And otherwise, why these stories and like sort of preserve until to the nitty gritty detail, and definitely Allah will not preserve this sort of stories, right, unless it is actually benefit for us, inshallah. So, and again, this is the mothers of believers. They are special lady or special woman, and it is actually mentioned in the Quran that they have a special status, and we should be like treat them like mothers out of respects and educations and so on. So let's start, inshallah. Bismillah. So before we go on to talk about the mother herself, let's just do a quick recap, or do a sort of visit on what is the term actually mothers of believer. It is mentioned in the Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, when Allah mentions An-Nabiyyu awla bil mu'minin, the Nabi is actually the protector, the awla of the mu'minin, and wa azwajuhu ummahatuhum, and then his wives are the mothers. So they are like the mothers to the mu'mins. What is actually the mothers here? The mothers is the ummahatuhum. It is like the mothers, right? The plural of and this is a mother's, of course, not a biological mother, but is a mother of love and protections and tarbiyah. So Allah gave them special status. So, and then the word mothers is commonly used, like Makkah is Umul Qura, and Fatiha the Umul Quran, and so on, and Allah Mahfuz, like the Umul Kitab. So this is a special mother, special. What's some of the blessings? So before we talk about some of the blessings, let's talk about some of the definitions. It is part of the Ahlul Bayt. So this is the household, the family members, if you will, of the Rasulullah SAW. It is defined that the the household of Rasulullah comprises of the descendants and the sons and of the Hasim or Banu Hasim. So including if Abu Lahab were Muslim, and then he would probably call the Ahlul Bayt as well. So including his uncle Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, and also another uncle, which is Hamzah Abdul Muttalib, is also considered, and all his wives are also considered. It's actually from the text of Quran itself, where Allah mentioned that Allah actually called them Ahlul Bayt. Innama yuridu lahu liyuzhiba ankum rijsa. Verily, Allah wanna purify you, ya Ahlul Bayt. It is referring to the wives of Rasulullah SAW. So not only the family of Banu Hasim, they're also the all of his wives, ummahatuhum, our mother. So they're not like any other mother, as Rasulullah as mentions in the Quran, that they ya nisa an-nabiy lasunaka hadim minan nisa, that all wives of the Prophet, you are not like anyone among the other women. So they are a special case. In this case, they are for example, after the demise of Rasulullah SAW, they are haram for any other mu'min or believers to marry them, and they deserve sort of love and respect. One of the key things is that they will be the wives in this world as well as in the hereafter. There was a story of Rasulullah SAW was in the verge. There's a story that was on the verge of divorcing, but there was another story where he has already divorced Hafsa, one of our mothers, Hafsa binti Umar bin Khattab. Then Jibril came down and asked Rasulullah SAW to marry, take her back as a wife again. So it is that's why one of the versions of salawat that we ask Allah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, and then wa ala azwaji Muhammad, right, and upon of the wives of Rasulullah SAW. So they are not like any other women. They have an extra special. They are blessed. They are noble. They were offered to live for work. So they all of them in one occasions they asked Allah, Rasulullah asked them whether you wanna go, right? I let you go, right, for this dunya and whatnot. But you can also live. Of course, if you live with Rasulullah SAW, you have to be like a frugal life and so on. But they're all really chose Allah and His messengers, and Allah will bless them. So it is a role model, as I mentioned. It is a role model, and then role model for not only for the believing women, but definitely for us, the believing men as well. So that is a little bit of definitions and part of the blessings of our mothers. So and again, it is how well we know our family members. And then I think sometimes when I have class, I ask the quiz how many of our mothers that you know, right? So I give this sort of chart here. I don't know, just put an Excel and dump it in here. So definitely Khadijah, right? Khadijah was the only one where Rasulullah was only married to one. Then Saudah, we talk about Saudah, we talk about Aisha radiallahu anha, we talk about Hafsa bint Umar bin Khattab, Zainab. There's a two Zainab, Zainab bint Khuzaimah. The one actually passed away. You see the color here, right? So I like. Do I have the pen? Yeah, I see the color here.
She's a sister of Maimuna.
Which one? Yes, correct. The sisters of Maimuna, correct. And then Maimuna also has sisters, which is Fadl, married to Abbas bin Abu Muttalib. So, and very interesting. Yeah, it is the when we talk about Zainab, we talk about the blessing of the family, because the mother of Zainab binti Khuzaimah, they have daughters who married to big names and giants and so on. Right. So and then we have Juwaria. We talked about Juwaria last time. Is a very unique individual as well. Very nice stories. Habibah, which is the one of the daughters of Abu Sufyan, which is used to be the arch enemy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there are two names in here, which is Raihana and Maria. They are not considered Ummahatul Mu'minin or Ummul Mu'minin because they are not considered wives. They are, I think, the scholars believe that they are the milk yamin. They're not considered, even though, for example, Maria gave birth to Ibrahim. She was then called as Walad, which is the mother of the baby, but the status is different with the wife. So nevertheless, so today we talk about Safiyya, which is number 11 here, but it's actually the wife number 10. So okay, all right. So this is and she was married for about 4 years before Rasulullah SAW passed away. So one of the wives that there's only two wives, three wives basically that passed away before Rasulullah SAW passed away. All right, let's start with the family. Very interesting here. This is probably the furthest in terms of relationship to Rasulullah SAW. And remember last time it was Zainab, the closest one, which is like almost like a cousin. And then we get other ladies, but this one is really the furthest one. There was a narration that that Safiyya, coming from a generation coming from Harun alayhi salam. So, and in fact, there was a hadith when Safiyya was being ridiculed and made fun of. She was called like Yahudiya and something. And this is very interesting. We're gonna talk about that because I really love that story, because it's really amazing how these are the mothers of believers, right? They are almost guaranteed Jannah, right? But again, there is always some snippet and things, and whether this is racist or not, we can talk about it. Our Rasul actually comfort our mother Safiyya, says, you don't have to worry about, right? You're the your uncle, so your father is a prophet, your uncle is a prophet, means Harun and Musa alayhi salam, and then your husband is also a prophet, right? So, and again, this is just the generation. So they all met probably like 100 generations to, not 100, I think 36 or something, to Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Rasulullah salam from Ismail, and then Ismail, the Ibrahim also have Ishaq, Yaqub, and a couple of generations to Harun, and a couple of generations to the father Huyay bin Akhtab. That's the father's name. So this is from the Jewish tribes of Banu Nadir, right? And his father is Huyay bin Akhtab. He's actually the chieftain of the tribe, and the mother, I think the mother has already passed away. Her name is Barah bint Samawal. Samawal is like a Samuel from another Jewish tribe, which is a Banu Harith. So, but then they're not living Yathrib. And I was talking to Brother Adil before he left, right? We were talking about, and I was just going that this is like a special says they are not Arabs, or they are Jews, right? Then the Jews, I don't know whether you know stories, just stories before. Why the Jews in that line, right? So there's a lot of 3 or 4 different theories. One of them is that they are because they are waiting for a prophet. So they were thinking the prophet, right? And then when they found out that Prophet Muhammad SAW was not from their lineage, but not from their blood, so they rejected just bluntly like that. There's one narration. So there's a quite number of Jewish tribe, and Alhamdulillah we're here. Quite a number of Jewish tribe in that trip. So I was distracted. Where was I? Okay. Okay, was before that I was talking to Brother Adil. I couldn't find any other Jewish, any other Yahud is actually like a big names or big characters. I found is only Abdullah bin Salam, which is one of the rabbis and converted to Islam. When you don't know whether the stories when he was converted to Islam, and then all the other Jews was asked, do you know Abdullah bin Salam? Yeah, of course, he's very the most pious among us and the most knowledgeable amongst us and so on. And then Abdullah bin Salam came out. I already embraced Islam, and then they all changed their mind. No, he was the wicked among us and the worst amongst us. And again, this calamity comes from if we go to the root of this animosity is really about why you become a prophet, not coming from it is a little bit of racist, if you will, right? So and then what is the first disease by Iblis, right? It's like, I'm better than you, right? My blood is better than your blood. My skin color is better than your skin color. And so on and so forth. And again, this is the kibir, the arrogance. So this is the family lineage. So Rasulullah SAW and Safiyya met like certain generations to Ibrahim alayhi salam. All right. So I'll talk about a little bit of Safiyya. She was born a little bit like 40 years after Rasulullah SAW, so it's a bit quite in terms of age. And she was from the Banu Nadir. The three Jewish tribes in Yathrib at the time, the Banu Nadir, Banu Quraiza, and Banu Qaynuqa. Right? So, and the Banu Nadir is the first one who was actually got expelled. We will talk about that later on. So, so these Jewish tribes, they are ethnically and religiously Jewish. But they're with the Arab's name, so that's why they're Abdullah bin Salam. Even Abdullah bin Salam originally, his name was Hussein bin Salam. So they pick up I think it's like the Jews and any other people who live to certain countries. For example, people in Thailand, the Chinese descents in Thailand, they pick up Chinese name, like the Chinese ethnic Chinese in Indonesia, they pick up Indonesian name. I think once you become generation, you pick up the local, pick up the language and so on. But they're still ethnically Jews, and they're still adopting their sort of traditions and so on and whatnot. So it's one of the three tribes, and there was a story about the father was a chieftain, and the father, when they heard about Rasulullah, there's a prophet came from Mecca, and then he went there to investigate. And this is actually our mother, Safiyya, narrated this story. So when he came back and he talked to one of his uncles and talked to his brother, so is it him? Who? Yes, that's him. That's the prophet, right? So he acknowledged that. So what are we gonna do? I'll make him enemy as long as I live. So that's why Allah mentions especially in Surah Al-Anfal, Surah number 6. Allah mentions alazina atainahumul kitab, people who Allah give the kitab, the scripture, ya'rifunahu kama ya'rifuna abnahum. They know Rasulullah as if they know their own children. So that's why when they see it, they know right away. Abdullah bin Salam, the same case as well. When they see, I know this is a prophet. This is, it doesn't have a profile of imposters, right? So the same thing, Huyay bin Akhtab recognized this as a prophet, but because it's not coming from my lineage, coming from my blood, my descendants, I will reject that. It's quite an interesting story, but because he was actually executed after jumping the gun here. He was actually executed, and then before he was executed, he was asked, "Is there anything you want to say?" You know what he said? He says, "I never regret being your enemy." So this is really. Even probably the Satan probably will be asking his signature. He's really one of the Subhanallah. So yeah, they recognized the prophecies, but they rejected all out. The Banu Nadir was, of course, there was a treaty, there was an agreement with the Rasulullah SAW, with the Muslims and all the other Banu Qurayza and Banu Qainuqa, that if someone attacked them, they'll go together. There was a couple of treaty that they have agree on, but however, the people of Banu Nadir, not only they show these animosity toward the Muslim, but they also have the plot to actually assassinate Rasulullah SAW. They also work with the Quraysh to give them ways and to tell them how to attack. It was at the Battle of Khaybar. So there's one who actually talked to Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan at the time was not Muslim. They want to attack Medina, and they go to with Banu Nadir, and he's the one who's actually who he's basically, if you look at currently now, right, like a double spy, what do you call that, double spy, double agent or something. Is definitely is, you can get executed for that, because what you reveal is a secret that might affect a lot of people, affect a lot of money, a lot of people and lives and so on. So there's so many things. They're being expelled because of their animosity to the Muslims, their hostility is actually, and they have a plot to assassinate Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And not only that, they're also helping the Quraysh at the time before the Battle of Afzal. So then after that, Rasulullah SAW sent people to go to their to the tribe, and there was a siege for about 6 days, and then after that, Rasulullah SAW ordered them to live for 10 days. After 10 days, you just live. You can carry whatever you carry as long as you can fit your camel. So they were there, and again, the Jews, they were not expelled because of their religion. They're not expelled because of their ethnicity. They were expelled because of their treasons, because what they did, right? So it's not about and again, some people try to write in on this, and Islam is actually against Jews and so on, but definitely not, because this is where the stories of our mother, which is a Jew coming from the Jewish background. All right, and what happened after that? They moved to Khaybar, which is, I think, if you've been to Medina, you can ask. Every day there's always near your hotel. There's always people like, you want to go to ziyarah, right? And then one of them is, I don't know whether one of them is also go to Khaybar. It's about 2 hours ride or something. 2 hours ride, but you can always go to there, and this is one of the historical place. So went to Khaybar, and Khaybar was known for this place for cultivations. They live there, and I think they introduced. It is been known that they have introduced some technology or whatnot. They have fortresses as well, right? So it were not within the culture of the Arabs at the time, and where the Jews have fortresses and to protect them, and they have the irrigation systems and whatnot. That they have all these cultivations and dates, and so they have sort of a bit more advanced in terms of livelihood. All right, so that is a little bit of the lineage and the stories of Safiyya bint Huyay, and then we just go and capture some of the life events, and this what interesting, right? The life events of our mother here, Safiyya radiallahu anha, is mostly about her marriage, and it's really about household issues, right? Something that like a sort of a drama, right? Like a drama, like a K-drama. So why we want to go to K-drama? We have our own drama in here, right? Yeah, if you really like to have, and again, why this is preserved if it's not benefit for us, right? And hopefully I can extract some of the things that when I try to compile this, I've been hearing this many stories. Every time I compile, it's always get emotional, right? Subhanallah, why we have to know all this detail, right? Seriously, why to know this stuff? But anyway, so they were expelled from Medina about 600, 625, which is if the Hijrah is 622, the passing away of Rasulullah 632. It's also like 3 years after the Hijrah to Medina. Then that they were settled to Khaybar, and then she was married to one of the probably the celebrity of probably the top persons in that tribe as well, by the name of Kinana. He was he was a poet. He was like a treasure of the tribe. At the times they're very strong. That they have a date plantations and whatnot. Um, just talk about Safiya's. There was she narrated herself that she had a dream. She had a dream that the moon came to her lap, and then being a wife, and she told to her husband, and her husband just slapped her across the face, and you want to marry to that kings of Arab, right? So
1 week before that.
I think 1 week before the before the Battle of Khaybar. So I think she I think she was probably like having a vision or something, and apparently the husband understood that, and you want to marry the king of Arab. There was a rumor that the Muslims will attack, and again they will go to other tribes and make what do you call that? What do you call that? They make aliens to other tribes and that, so they know that they're gonna be attacked by the Muslims. They overheard that, and then Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul also come from Medina as well to give them support. So we send you some troops and so on. There's about 10,000 strong of them, and Rasulullah SAW with the Muslims only 1,400. And again, when you look at the battles of the Khandaq, the battles of Badr and so on, numbers apparently doesn't really matter, right? If you have iman and you have Allah on your side, the number is just a number, right? It doesn't really matter. Yes, that is the story about that. I think you also mentioned the story that she was married to Kinana, but Kinana was already the second husband. So Rasulullah became the third husband later on. So again, this is like the generations or the society where people get married at the early age as well. So then the Battle of Khaybar mentions that it was 1 week after that dream. It was a battle of Khaybar. That was like after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. We talk about this, and there was a siege about 100 or one and a half months, and finally they conquer it. And why again this Battle of Khaybar began again because of their plot of to kill Rasulullah SAW. It was not only that, they also have tried to make alliances with other tribes against the Muslims and whatnot. And again, the number is very small. It's only 1,400, and again, they managed to go to 10,000 strong. There's a lot of stories about that, but it's one of the fierce battle. Is one of the fierce battles because they have fortress, and I don't know whether you remember one of the battle was Rasulullah SAW. Whoever get this would be the love of Rasulullah and Allah and His messengers, and everyone was expected to be given that. And apparently, Ali bin Abi Talib got that. The sword or something, yeah. Is it a sword or the banner or something to attack one of the fortresses? So it was and then from that battle, it was a huge ghanima. What is it? Booty. When the huge booty. Of course, the huge booty is actually from the Battle of Ta'if, but before Battle of Ta'if, this is probably the biggest one as well. Not only that, because after the battle, this one of us actually Allah promised for them to have this booty, to have this wealth and all, this wealth and money and so on. It is actually because of their plantation. They agree later on that okay, let me just continue being here, right? I'll give you all the produce for 50% of the produce and so on. They will take this much. So again, Allah has actually promised them وَعَدَكُمُ غَانِمَ كَثِيرًا, right? كَثِيرًا. Allah has promised you like abundant of ghanimah, abundant of booty that you will take. Ta'khuzunaha. And then and Allah make that it is Allah make that is this happen very fast. So this is again Khaybar is actually the promise of the promised bounty from Allah to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And again, if you think about if you take the society nowadays, right, so people how people make wealth and make money and so on compared to 1400 years ago, one of them is really from if one tribe have a battle with the other tribe, and if the other tribe lost, and they take everything, they take the wealth become ghanima. Ghanima is not only the wealth but also the ladies and the family, they all become the slaves of this world. So that is the promise of Allah, that they will get this booty as a promise. But then what's after that? The aftermath, right? There's they discuss about how they surrender. One of them is I discuss is that okay, well, I let you stay here. We were not gonna harm you, but then we will take all the produce. And they says okay, I'll give you please 50-50. All right, and Rasulullah SAW agree to take this produce about 50-50 every year, but then they have a right to renew it, right? Because they're losing out, right? They're losing one. Most of the men, most of the tribes has actually been captured and killed and executed. There's only few of them, including actually Kinana, the husband was actually captured and executed as well. Some explain he was actually killed during the battle or probably executed for some other reason as well. I believe there were reason that he was not telling the truth, and found out that Rasulullah said, what happened, what actually you hid behind this, and then they found it, and because of that he was actually hiding something, and then got executed. There's also one story is about after Khaybar. I don't know whether you heard, and this is also is always linked to the death of Rasulullah SAW, which is the poison, right? And Rasulullah SAW before his passing away mentioned that I still feel the pain from the poison of. So this is the Jewish lady by the name of Zainab bint Harith, where she gave goat, right, and gifted to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all the Sahaba. And Rasulullah ate it, but then he spat it out. But there's another companion. He took it and he passed away. Rasulullah forgave her, but then because not for the companions, he wanna kiss us, and that's why Zainab was executed after that. Yeah, it was very interesting. And then when she was asked, it says, "If you're a liar, then you will die." Right?
It's very original.
But if you're really a prophet, Allah will protect you. All right, good logic. But it's not how you implement it. Right, and then one of the biggest stories about this, of course, our mother Safiyya become captured, and again because his capture has become they become the slave, and then the Muslims will gather them up, and then okay, originally she was being assigned to Diha al-Qalbi, and then someone came to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I think it was not befitting for probably put like a princess or something, like the daughter of the chieftain. It's probably better if you give it to you, right? So that is the originally, and then she was presented to Rasulullah SAW, and Rasulullah SAW actually offered, why don't you embrace Islam? Rasulullah either you have two options basically, either you stay with me and become Muslim, or stay upon your religion and hopefully you can go back to your family, right? And two options, but she decided to, Ya Rasulullah, I desire to accept Islam, and actually I desire to accept Islam and I believe in you even before you invited me. So apparently she is already has inclination toward Islam. And again, this is a pure heart, right? There's a fitrah, right? So fitrah is always related to a fitrah. And I have no desire to go back to Judaism. So I have no desire to go back to my family. And she mentions about I love Allah and His messengers, and I'd rather go back to you, right, to your community as a slave. She thought she was going to be a slave. But then Rasulullah SAW freed her, and then become the mahar for the marriage. It become the one of the fiqh ruling that the of course probably we don't probably have to practice that anymore because there's no slavery. But again, there was the mahar, the her being what is the manumitted manumation? There's I can remember the English word for that. To free someone from slavery, right? And that become the mahar for the marriage. And the interesting is because they're on the way to go to Medina, so the walima is just happened on the road, right? So this is where very lot of story and tidbit around it, because what happened is, and again, this lady is not Arabs, right? And they're just coming from a battle, and they're on the way to go to Medina, right? So whatever walima preparations and everything is all everything, and then there's, when you're in the comfort in your own house and stuff, not many stories you can capture. But now you're actually in the caravan, right? Everyone can see what's going on, what's happening. So there's a lot of stories that we can talk about. But anyway, um, some stories I capture on that. The first story was about when she accepted the marriage of Rasulullah SAW, and then just happened that her cycles also finished as well. So, and they on the way to go back to Medina, and then that night when they stop over, it says Rasulullah asked to consummate the marriage, and she rejected it, right? And then the following night, Rasulullah asked again, and then she accepted. And then Rasulullah was asking, "Why did you reject the first time?" You know what she said? She said, "Because we just left the Banu Nadir, right? Just very short distance. I know what the Jews are like, right? So I know what my tribes are like, right? So they might be, catching up on us and then probably attacks us, and we're not ready to that, right? So it's probably will be harmful or dangerous to the Muslims or all the people and everything. So you can see that she's already inclined to Rasulullah says she's smart as well. So and what happened to the bruises in your eyes? And this is where she told the story that or 1 week before that I had a dream, and then when I told to my father and my husband, and my husband just slapped me across the face, and this is where I get the bruise on my eyes, right? And one of the interesting thing about this story is, the father was probably one of the biggest enemies, and like the hatred against Rasulullah. But again, people can be so bad outside, but probably they become nicest persons at house. Probably he was a nice father, a good father, and so on. Because our mother Safiyya narrated stories where she was a favorite among the fathers and the uncles. They always play with them. And so on and so forth. So she was asking, "What's my father's?" And Rasulullah SAW even had to, to give excuses. Well, we had to do this because they harm people. We had to do this, and we had to. And again, this is very interesting story. One of the other stories that I found it quite interesting as well. You know, the what do you call that, right? This lady, right? The whole tribe was against Rasulullah from day one, right? The father, the husband is like really number one enemy, right? And then suddenly the Safiyya lost the father, lost the husband, lost the whole tribe, lost the brothers and whatnot, and then she just lost everything. And then she ready to accept the marriage of Rasulullah Sallallahu, right? If you among Rasulullah Sallallahu, what do you think, right? She must be up to something, right? She must be up to something. There was it's not be right, right? It is human actually, right? But again, Rasulullah SAW, if something would have happened to him, probably along that line, probably Jibril might have told him. I don't know, right? But anyway, one of the companions was Abu Ayyub al Ansari, radhiyallahu anhu, and he was like, "This is not right here." So what happened was, right? See, he went out outside the tent of Rasulullah SAW and take out the sword and just waiting there, waiting there the whole night, just outside the tent, right? And when in the morning Rasulullah wake up and so, how are you? What are you doing there? Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, Allah. What are you doing with your? No, I'm I'm not sure whether she's really genuine with everything. So I was just getting ready, just in case you scream or anything, I will come and help you, right? So that is the stories of Abu Ayyub al Ansari. It's very. Now the other story, which is actually quite famous, and brother Wild really loved this story. The story of after the marriage and so on, because they're not ready to have, they were not actually planning to get married and everything, so they don't have enough mounts and now camels and so on. So Rasulullah SAW will share the camel with our mother Safiyya, and then our mother Safiyya need to hop into, what do you call that, jump into the camel, mount the camel, and and because I think Safiyya was probably not enough, and then Rasulullah SAW, yeah, put the knee on the floor, on the left and on the other one, and then our mother, because this is a hadith, right? That means everyone watching it, right? Everyone watching, and so of course he was probably feel embarrassed. He's a Nabi, and what, I used to use the foot of Rasulullah SAW as a,
She never put the foot.
now
She was like,
no, no, actually Rasulullah took the knee of her and then put it so she can actually climb up.
no,
Oh, yeah, I
she,
see.
she didn't put her foot out of respect. She also used to knee and jump.
Yeah, she actually got me.
Knee and
Yeah, yeah, and got that. Yeah, and I think if you wanna do it compared to the modern world, it's like probably opening the door for your wife, or probably not like that. Nowadays, right? If you open the door for your wife, either one of the two, the wife is new, or the car is new. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I know you would like that.
I'm gonna say that to my wife today.
All right. So yes.
That's how people know she's married, right?
So yeah. Then no. Uh, they were married, yes, but people didn't know at that time whether she came out the tent wearing a big hijab, the full blown, and they know it is a wife, right? And they become the mother, right? Another story which is very human, and because of they were riding two people on camel. I think probably it's a long journey and whatnot, and the camel faltered and tripped. So Rasulullah SAW and our mother actually roll off and roll and fell. And you can imagine the awkwardness of the Sahaba, right? They want to help, but this is our mother. You know, when you fell, right? They're probably not a good sort of positions, and you might be revealing something, and everyone just look away. But they want to help, but they have to look away, right? You know the awkwardness, right? And so is how Rasulullah, being human, right? He fell as well, right? Like the rest of us. And the camel, if Allah want, Allah can probably make the camel fly, right? Right, but no, this is like humanity, the side, and how the Sahaba was going to help, but our mother is probably not, and Rasulullah just now, brush everything and tadi and put back to camel, and it is a very very interesting story about that. And again, this is the story of the camel. So many stories about the camel of our mother Safiyya. So that is the so the humanity side of the companions and the Rasulullah SAW as well. And why we heard this story is like, this isn't like is it religious story? Think about it, right? Is it why all these stories being preserved? And again, this is something that we can extract as a benefit for us, and how Rasulullah SAW, when you start looking at him as like really high up, like he's a prophet, but he is human, right? And how we deal with humanity is, even though he's a human, is also a fellow as well. And subhanallah, it's very interesting stories. This is one of the stories of the wives of Rasulullah that really, really very very interested to learn about. All right, they arrive in Medina. Of course, they're not expecting new member, so they have to build new house. And while the house is being built, so they put our mother into one of the companions. So obviously, he must have got a big house and so on. So Safiyya stays one of the companions' house, and what happens? What happened is, of course, who will visit her?
Zainab.
The other wives.
This is the
The-
real drama now.
This is
This is the real
subhanallah.
drama, bro.
So Aisha radiallahu anha was the first one who initiated the visit, right? And she cover and put the cover and everything, right? And then she was just visiting, and then apparently, you start realizing now, right? You know, we've been wearing masks for how many? Almost a year and a bit, right? Because you already know this person before, right? Even though after they put the mask, you can actually tell people from a very distance, right? So it's not actually because the way they move, the everything. You can wear masks, right? You can detect. Oh, that's brother Adil from distance. Huh?
Oh, easy, bro. Come on.
So bad example. Or are you wearing cap or something? Yeah, so, and then Rasulullah actually recognized our mother, all right, from a distance. Oh, okay. And then when they got home, it says, okay, how was your visit? Right? And then the word coming out of our mother, just like any other Yahudiya, right? And that, subhanallah. This is, I like this stories because it really shows the humanity of our mothers as well. Rasulullah right away defended, this is not a good word, right? If you, like, this is racist basically, right? Don't ever say that, right? So Rasulullah defended, don't ever say that. She has already accepted Islam, right? And she have a strong faith. Why you know, writing on her futures and her past, and not even her past is tribes and her parents. She's a different individual. She's being individual herself. There's so many stories uh, about our mother Safiyya being ridiculed and being mocked because of her ethnicity and background. And this is really that other co-wives friending her by calling her Yahudiya and so on. And for example, Hafsa, one day Rasulullah came and then Safiyya was crying and so on. And what happened? Hafsa was calling me Yahudi and so on. And Rasulullah comforted her. This is where he mentions about, don't worry about that. You're a son of a prophet. Your uncle also a prophet, and you're married to a prophet. Yeah, they're nothing compared to you, right? So this is again just to bring comfort of. And again, there was one actually story when there was they did Hajj only once, right? And they did Hajj. It was at that time was Zainab bint Huyay. I told this stories last month when told about Zainab, where Safiyya that day lost her camel. And as she was crying, and they have to stop the caravan, Rasulullah actually comforted her. And of course, camel is a big thing, right? Not only because it's also wealth at the same time, it's also your own right. And this is going to Mecca, you don't have the right, and coming back, it's going to be worse as well. So she was crying, and Rasulullah comforted her, and you know, even used his blessed hand to wipe the tears and so on. And then Rasulullah SAW realized that the Zainab has slightly bigger camel. You heard the story, right? And then, why don't you share the right with Safiyya? You know what Zainab say?
With her.
You want me to share the right with your Yahudiya? Is very, very strong. So. And Rasulullah SAW actually stopped talking to her until almost like Rasulullah passed away. It was a few weeks before that, and it was a big torture for Zainab. And again, you become racist if this is something that you do it every day, right? But this is probably once in a while when people get offended, people get stressed. I know traveling at that time probably not as easy as what we're traveling today, right? So days and days and in the desert and so on, probably people get easily get offended and so on, and of course the jealousies come into play as well, and they say what they said, and Allah already forgive them and so on. So again, this is something that we can learn, that not just because they are the mothers, they are the family of Rasulullah, they're free from sins. No, they're not free from sin. They fell into sins as well. What we can learn is how they how they recover from the sins, right? How they stop being like our mother Aisha when Rasulullah refuted her, don't say Yahudiya. That was the last time, the first time and the last time she never said that anymore. No, this is outside of the boundaries. And then she actually listened to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Well, interesting story. Well, anyway, this is also a very good story. Uh, our mother Aisha told that Safiyya was one of the best cook, probably. I think ethnicity cook, right? She cooked one of the best, and then she likes to give food to others and so on. So one day, it was Aisha's day. This is yeah, this is you're looking to and I think out of genuinity and whatnot, and they you know the stories, right? uh, about Aisha radiallahu anha, where every other wives complain to Rasulullah SAW, because you know what, when people come to visit Rasulullah, people outside of Medina come to visit Rasulullah SAW, right, they will ask around first, whose night is it today, right, whose night, right? So they will come to visit Rasulullah when it is Aisha's days, right, to that level, right? So because of that, the other wives were so not happy with that, very upset, and they would like to talk to, and then Rasulullah rebuked them by saying, not only that, right? Not only because it's not my fault, right? That they choose. Even Jibril never come down, except when I'm at the house of Aisha radhiallahu anha. So she is a special lady, right? So he was having a guest, and our mother Safiyya said, "Oh, guess why not just cook some food and uh, and send it to house of Aisha, right, where Rasulullah has a guest and whatnot." And then she sent this very nice food, and our mother Aisha received this, and then that's it. She was just bang on the floor, right? Can you imagine this, right? You have a guest, and your wife did that in front of you. You don't have a big house, you just have a very small house, and whatever the bang and everything. I, you know what Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did? This is again, subhanallah, it's amazing, right? If that happened to us, it's a Aisha, we would be like,
Not that Aisha, even more.
Aisha, you know,
His wife's name is Aisha.
subhanallah. This is really amazing. I mean, Rasulullah didn't even feel it like it. He was just, okay, went there, pick up the food, right? Take the food, and Aisha, get the empty plate, because you need to pay the whatever, you need to return the plate back, right? And Rasulullah just put the plate, and then all the guests were just really awkward, right? And I said, oh, your mother just being upset. That's all. Right? It's amazing. It's really amazing. Like, it does not even, what do you call it, even trouble Rasulullah SAW. So, like, he knew this probably out of jealousy and so on. And if this is something like really bad, Rasulullah might have probably refute her there and then, right? But no, it just, your mother is being upset. Subhanallah. All right, there's another story. I like these stories as well. So Rasulullah SAW was doing itikaf, it was Ramadan, and then after Isha, our mother Safiyya visited him, right? And if you think about it, why do you think Safiyya visited him at night after Isha? And if you think, this is one of the things that is really sad, right? I mean, like our mother, she's the only Jewess alone, right? She didn't have anyone. No, at the time, there's the whole Banu Nadir, even Banu Nadir, Qurayza and Kainuqa, right? They're actually not in the centers of Rasulullah. They're all like different outside of Medina, right? and then after they've been after expelled, and the Bani Kanuka also have been expelled, they don't have that. Probably they will be, but not really in that. But probably she didn't know anyone, right? And even though, because she's a mother of believers as well, she cannot just go freely without her hijab and everything, and not the hijab. Our hijab is really like the tent, right? The small tent and so on. So I think just because she felt lonely, and then she just need to visit and to talk, and they talk until very late. And then after that, Rasulullah need to take her back to take her home, right? So he walked with her to walk her home, and Medina was not like today's Medina, right? It was probably pitch dark, and so even though 2 or 3 blocks away, it's gonna be very dark. While they're walking, there's the 2 companions, right? 2 Sahaba were walking as well. When they're walking, they see Rasulullah with a lady. They will just, this out of respect, they just cover their eyes and they go away, right? And Rasulullah, hey, stop, slow. This is my wife, Safiyya. And they didn't know what to do. Subhanallah, ya Rasulullah. I mean, do you think that? do you know, right? They feel awkward as well. Like, this is my wife. And then they says, no, yeah, indeed, Satan runs in your blood, runs in your body like blood, right? So this is one of the hadith, and again, what it means is, yeah, probably you. It is for me need to explain it, because otherwise, Satan will put this waswas in your heart. This is something that really. I remember one day one of my friends he need to give me something, but he sent his sister, and then okay, well, let's meet in MTR somewhere. No, I need to go to restaurant. Why don't you come to restaurant? I went to that restaurant. Why don't you sit? I just sit. Okay, and then someone came. I have to go to that. Oh, this is my. I follow this one. This is my. Anyway, interesting. Yeah, and again, this is so that we need to close every venue that the Satan will put the waswas into that. Even though, of course, it's dark, people will not think Rasulullah would do that, right? But again, Rasulullah have to make sure that the venue for you to start thinking something negative, or to put the Satan in its place. All right, so this is the time, and again, this is very interesting tidbit, I would say. This is the time of Rasulullah SAW, on his deathbed, and all the wives came, and Rasulullah was really in agony and pain, and there's narrations that he actually feel pain more than other Muslims, and like a double or something like that. So Safiyya was really felt probably heartfelt. It was really felt sorry for Rasulullah, and she said, "I wish I can take your pain for me," right? And then she said it in front of other wives.
They're not happy.
What do you think the other wives would say?
So inferior.
All right, what do you think?
It's on me.
All right. Oh yes, you're right. Subhanallah. And then Rasulullah SAW, even though he said, when I sleep, my heart is still open, right? So probably he was not conscious at that time. But when Rasulullah SAW woke up from his consciousness, he called up all his other wives and says, go there and take wudu. And everyone says, why we need to take wudu? Because you just did humazah to Safiyya. Subhanallah. And then Rasulullah says, and Rasulullah continues saying that she was sincere in what she just said. So Rasulullah defended her and praised her taqwa and so on and so forth. And in fact, this is probably the last person that our Nabi praised before his demise. And that to who? To our mother from a Jewish tribe. Subhanallah. So now you see her different now. So Rasulullah actually defended her pure sincerity. So after the demise of Rasulullah SAW, there's one tidbit, one story. She had a slave girl, and she make up a lie. She went to Umar bin Khattab. She said, Safiyya still observing the Sabbath, and she's still in contact with her Yahud family and so on. And Umar bin Khattab had to go there and to confirm, people, your slave told this story, is it true or not? And Safiyya says, no, I will never. Allah has already given me eight, right? The Eid Fitri and Eid al-Adha. No way I'm going to do that. But for family, of course, yeah, they are my family. There's nothing wrong with the family. And after that, and this is again so us, the stories where, uh, what's his name? Myth, well, can't remember. There was one person who also involved in the slander of Aisha. What was his name? And then that person was actually, Abu Bakr actually pay him to stipend money every month,
Mishab.
every month. Mihtab, myth, yeah,
He stopped her.
yeah, and then because he felt so offended, he stopped giving him money. And Rasulullah revealed in Surah Nur or Surah Nisa or something, and they say, "Don't you want me to forgive you?" Right? So because of that, because of the status of Abu Bakr, right? So it is actually halal. It is your money. You can stop it. But again, his status is so high that it is to forgive someone that deserves to be forgiven. That's easy. But to forgive someone who does not deserve to be forgiven, that's Islam, right? And this is shows your status, right? It's easy to give forgive someone, and the same thing. This is what exactly our mother Safiyya did. After her slave did that, what she did was to actually she freed her, and she just freed herself despite being zoned against. During the Uthman bin Affan, when he was attacked by the crowd and so on, she provided support. Her house is actually very close to the house of Uthman. She's the one who actually tried to smuggle food into Uthman, and then even there's one time she actually took her not camel, to her mule, just to go around and visit. So she was thinking probably if they see the mother of the believer, right, they probably stop harassing Uthman. Apparently not. They just smack the mule, and then they said, okay, they know these people are now of course they didn't touch our mother, but they disrupt the mule, and then the mule got attacked and smacked and so on, and they know they're not upon the faith. All right, so and then she just changed her mind. She passed away 670 AD during the Khalifa Muawiyah. And one of the things that she actually left behind a huge amount of money, about 100,000 dirham. And in her wasiyah, she said, give this money to my cousin, not cousin, the son of her sister, nephew. So give this whatever amount of money this nephew. And then when they heard about this wasiyah, and all the Muslims were so, why you want to give this money to Yahudi and whatnot and so on, and they all came to Aisha and Aisha radiallahu anha and said, no, this is her money, it's up to her, this is her wasiyah, this is her family, right? And fear Allah, ittaqullah. And it was very strong remark for our mother that this is up to her, this is her money, she can do whatever she wants. And finally they give this that her nephew the money. So she was buried in Al-Baqi, and there's some of the legacy. Number one, of course, the strong faith. So she actually already became Muslim before even offered by Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as what she said. And after marriage, she had to live in Medina as a minority, as a family. The enemies, but people keep pointing at her past. So this is a lot of being Muslims in a minority sort of ethnicities and whatnot. This is probably a bit difficult for her. So, but strong. So her faith on that. Another one I keep note is just the last person who praised by Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam before he passed away. She also narrated a hadith, which I think is very interesting. She narrated a hadith about. She said that no one will attack Kaabah and break the haram, other than those who believe in the sanctity of Kaaba. What it means is, Kaaba will never be attacked by non-Muslim. So it's very, very interesting hadith. So don't worry if whatever the American, whatever they want to call it, they want to attack. No, it will not happen. It will happen only by the Muslims. And it's actually so many times. Abdullah bin Zubair, radiallahu anh, when what's his name, Abdul Malik bin Marwan attacked Kaaba, right? And he was crucified in front of Kaaba and so on, and they burned actually the Kaaba because of they throw fires and got burned, and was attacked by that. And also when the Sarif of Makkah tried to get control, I think just before during the Ottoman time, they also have to attack Makkah and Kaaba and whatnot. And 1979, the last one, which is by Juhayman al-Otaibi, 1979, which is 40 plus years ago. They also come and attack. You know the story, right? They come and attack Kaaba and then ask people to make bayah to them. And at the time there's no internet and whatnot, and then it was reported by the American at the time. And yes, you know that, right? So there was a news in the US that the Kaaba was attacked, was under siege, and so on. But people in Pakistan they thought Americans attacked Kaaba. And then the Pakistanis went to the the US embassy, and the US embassy and did some anyway, very interesting. Yeah, the 1979, right?
No, another one is crusade.
That was the last one, 1979.
No, before that, during the crusade time.
The crusade time. Yeah, probably yes. Yeah,
there's the black stone out of Kaaba.
Yeah, there's always the Muslims. So yeah, they're very, very strange, not strange, a very bizarre hadith about the one that who will attack Kaaba, the one who actually believe in the sanctity of Kaaba. So I think that's probably conclude my story about our mother. Exactly 1 hour and a bit. Jazakumullah khair. If there is any simple questions, I'll take it. If not,
There's another incident with Zainab radiallahu anha. She's not get along with Safiyya, right?
well, there are two camps, right? The camps of Aisha, the camps of Salama, all right. But our mother Safiyya normally is alone. Yeah.
So Zainab went to see her with Zubayriya.
Yeah.
And Zainab radiallahu anha said, when you see her, this one going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
So Zubayriya said, no, people from that tribe not get along with the husband. They will
Yeah, that's why she's very strong. Yeah, she is very strong. She had to be very strong. Yes, brother.
Just one thing which maybe you can highlight about the fact that, as Muslims we should be careful of not stereotyping. Yahudiya,
yes.
That concept which is still coming down to even today's.
Yes.
When we look at Jews,
Yeah.
Muslims, just because what we know about the Jews,
Yeah.
we automatically
It does not.
put this
Yeah.
negative image,
Yeah.
and we just stereotype every Jew with the
Yeah.
same thing.
I think the same mistakes everyone when the 9/11 came, right? The 9/11 bomb and so on, right? Is one or two Muslims did that. It's like a very, very 0.000% of the big Muslim community. But when the people Muslims did that, they paint every Muslim like that. We don't want that, right? We don't have to apologize for some bad Muslim did something, right? Now, yeah, and yeah.
But none of us know the history behind them, like Andalusia.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge history.
But even then, just like you talked about the embassy thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, if somebody does it just because he is American, why are you attacking the embassy? Like,
Yeah.
you haven't done it.
Yeah, they have. Yeah,
Like,
this is
how
not.
is that justified?
This is,
That's
and
not
again,
Islam.
we don't want people to do that. But at the same time, we have to watch ourselves. So we don't want to do that. We will judge the people because what they do, not because of other people doing it, right? So the same thing. And again, this is humanity, right? We sometimes we try to, like even our mothers also guilty of doing that. But again, it is something that probably we need to remind ourselves, especially with what happens in Palestine and everything. There are good people, right? There's a lot of organizations like Jewish4Peace.org. A lot of they're actually behind and they actually support the cause of Muslims. And they are,
New three cartons and things.
yeah,
The
they're quite,
rabbis and the Orthodox
yeah, they are.
Jews, they support Palestine.
But
Yeah.
I have no clue about that until recently.
Mm.
That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think all the
Yeah,
the same.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why you have
Again,
no idea?
and I guess two things, right? First of all is knowledge, and one is horizon, right? Yeah, what do you call the horizon is, yeah, yeah,
Even some scholars support some Jewish group. It
Yeah.
does not look good to us. I mean, that's the way like we grow up. And
Yeah, sorry, that's okay.
yeah. All right, can we close now and then
Yeah,
continue?
bismillah.
Okay. So jazakumullah bisa Pak Bibi. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.